All right, we're back with another episode of the Believe You Can podcast. Today, my guest is a 56 pro MMA fight veteran. He's fought for organizations in kickboxing like Glory, and then in MMA for the King of the Cage, right? And Bellator, and a few other ones I know I'm missing there. But it's the Destroyer, Robert Morrow. And go ahead, sorry.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Right before we started recording, you were talking about the crazy lead up you had to your first bare knuckle fight in the BKFC. Do you just want to talk about that a little to get started?
Yeah, I got a 3-fight contract with the largest bare knuckle organization, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, with David Feldman over there. I mean, and it's taken over. I mean, uh, it's it's gonna be epic just watching it grow, just like UFC, watching how UFC grew over the years. It's gonna be the same. I had my first fight that actually went through because I was supposed to be on BKFC 2 back in Biloxi, Mississippi. I believe that was about 2 years ago now, and that fight got canceled. And then I was at BKFC 8 in October, and just had a crazy leading up to the fight, and I just couldn't overcome the circumstances, and I ended up losing. I didn't fight my fight, so.
Um, One of the things that was crazy to me is 56 pro fights before. Uh, what was your journey like with with all kinds of organizations and so many, almost 60 pro fights? Like what kind of toll did that take on your body?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot on you. I work. I'm a construction worker, so I work during the day. I'm a laborer too, so I mean, we're like jack of all trades, but we're used for our bodies. We don't. They don't hire us for our brains. They hire us for our bodies. So I'm out there. I'm humping plywood and lumber and jackhammering all day, sledgehammering, and just constant all day. And then at night, I go, do this stuff, and that beats up your body even more. So I'm prone to that. So. Um, but yeah, 56 fights, the journey. I've been doing this. The first actual fight went through 2005. Um, and then I've just liked it a lot and just kept going with it, and just kind of grew with it as I went. From being as an amateur fighting every weekend, I've had 3 fights in a night, 6 fights in a week. Um, I mean, just to go from that into like, hey, you got a lot of fights, you should be pro. So I went pro, and because I was 22-0 as an amateur, so I got my first loss, and I got knocked out on that. Underestimated the guy, not training for that guy who was a wrestler, and then went into after that went 23-4 total as an amateur, plus 7-1 amateur kickboxing, which striking is my experience mostly, and not the ground stuff. But then I go into pro and trying to do the same thing, right after work, go to a fight or something, and it just wasn't working out, So I started stringing losses together, and then I was taking it serious, but a lot of times I was fighting for the money. I've got 5 kids, a family to support, and with the construction and work that I do, I mean, sometimes we're working, sometimes we're not, so I get laid off. Well, shoot, I still got fighting I can do, so I go find a fight, and like I said, a lot of time fighting for the money. If I didn't have that, I'd probably have like a lot better career, longer career, and everything like that. So, but to be where I'm at, I had a lot of guys, a lot of gyms get me where I'm at. I never wanted to be like the local best fighter or something. I want to travel, so I hit up all these other promotions across the U.S. I'd go onto like a database, see what shows. I'd hit them up. They'd have a spot for me. Obviously, you're never brought in to win. You're going against a hometown guy. But that's how I got my experience over the years, just traveling across the U.S. and just fighting, So
Yeah, that's one of the truest things you said there. Because for my first AMI fight, I got matched. I let this guy Scott Corbin from Ohio match me, and he matched me with somebody from the area in Ohio. So it was like this. It was the James E. Carn Center when it was first built, and there was like 1,500 people there, and it was my first time ever being in front of a big group of people, and I was like getting booed like crazy, and I ended up winning, and I still was getting shit thrown at me, and like it's not a great environment to be in.
yeah, oh yeah, I've been
um,
there.
so with all your experience and all this leading up, you said that you have your next is a heavyweight kickboxing tournament that you have lined up in August.
Yes, actually, March 27th, we're supposed to fight for XFN in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for a heavyweight tournament title to be champion for kickboxing. There's 8 men enter, one leaves, so you get 3 fights in the night. And it's all like great kickboxers. I mean, you got Maurice Jackson, Randy Blake, uh, Honey Bear. Charles Bennett. I mean, there's just a lot of guys. And it's not like a pushover tournament. I mean, to fight multiple times in the night is already hard on its own. But then this is all kickboxing, and you're heavyweight too. And I'm a small heavyweight, but I pack some power and speed, so I'm gonna bring it. But yeah, it was originally March 27th, and it got pushed to June 12th. And then with all the chaos going on, it just got delayed until finally August 7th. Supposed to be we get to go out and bang it out, So
Hell yeah.
yeah, I had June 6th. I had Bellator, and then any BKFCs that were leading up to in between, and then all that got pushed too because I still have 2 fights on the contract, and great guys over there, and they're swarmed with so much that's going on right now with them, and they're growing and getting they're good to where they're going overseas more. David Feldman announced that. I mean, they're going to UK, Asia, everything. Everybody wants them now. So and that's the premier
That's
place.
Yeah, I loved watching the Artem versus Jason Knight fights, and then the Paul and Malignaggi fight with Artem. Like those are the ones that really
Oh
drew
yeah.
me to it. And then what was Johnny Bedford? He can really fight in the bare knuckle real good. So with your kickboxing, and when's the next time you are going to try to get into a fight with the bare knuckle fighting championship?
Bare knuckle. I'm hoping later this fall. Everything lining up and whatnot. We'll do this fight for August, and then I'll go into the bare knuckle for after that. So I haven't heard anything after. It's like August 28th, I believe, is BKFC's next show after the one they have coming up. Um, but I mean, that's just stringing the fights too close. I've already been there, done that, where I fought every week and all that. So I'm gonna try to space out a little bit more, have some more downtime, let my body heal in between fights. So I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
rushing it.
especially if you win those fights and have to fight 3 times that night, and then try to
Yeah,
reschedule soon after. That would be terrible. But go ahead.
yeah. And I want to. I mean, I stepped in. I did the BKFC uh, 8 in October 19th. Like I said, I mean that week work put me on overnights. I've been waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning for the last 12 years. Now all of a sudden I have to try to go to bed about that time. So my body couldn't get acclimated to nothing. I had 4 herniated discs go out 3 weeks before that, and just everything lined up. I didn't get to do what I want, and I know I'm made for this sport. Uh, I mean, my body, my style, everything's made for this. So I don't want to rush it for these next fights. I want to actually have a good camp and let my body be where it needs to be so I can get out and execute my game plan and get that knockout. So,
Hell yeah. How old are you now?
35 this September. So,
Oh, you're
yeah,
still
getting
good.
up there a little bit. I'm still
Yeah,
good. Yes.
yeah, you still got a few good like prime years where you could even hit the best of what you're gonna do. Like, especially at the division you're in, it seems like all the guys end up being a little older when they get to like the best of their abilities. Like DC, uh, Overeem didn't get to the UFC until he was in his mid 30s. A lot of the top guys at heavyweight are definitely like like 34, 35, 36, 37. So I think you got plenty of time to rule the BKFC world. Um,
Yeah. No, I agree with you with the age. I mean, like I don't think I really start hitting my prime until about 2, 3 years ago. But I don't even think I'm there yet. I don't think I could call it prime. I think there's still more in me to that I can release. I just have to tap into it.
Hell yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think best of me is still to come.
Yeah, I agree. I tried to sit down and watch as many of the fights that you had up on YouTube as I could leading into this, and I definitely agree. Like the the BKFC fight I watched, you could tell like you weren't like really moving. You could tell you were like stiff, and then that's the and he rushed you right away. So it was kind of just like kudos to him for capitalizing. But uh you
Yeah,
definitely looked
yeah,
like a
exactly.
lot you looked like a lot stiffer and like not as limber like as you did in the other fights that I've watched. That's what I've noticed. It definitely seemed like whatever was going on in your back was definitely messing with you in that fight.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean the back and the sleep and trying to, like I said, trying to sleep when I get home, and it was just chaotic. But that's all excuses. The other guy, Gustavo, he came out and he capitalized his game plan, and he took that. So I mean, kudos to him, like you said, and I can't just sit and make excuses. I could go through my entire record from fighting guys that go to the UFC after I fight them. When I've had injuries leading up. Adam Milstead, I fought him for King of the Cage out in Pennsylvania. Pretty cool show actually. I was in a parking garage for a casino, and it like the setup and stuff made you think of like Lionheart. So it was really like pretty cool. We're main event and Wednesday, right, the week of the fight, we're just getting ready to do some rolling, moving around, and I get an eye poke. It ends up being a severe eye abrasion in my cornea on my right eye. And that threw my game plan off. And I came out rushing instead of how I normally fight. So I'm out there rushing, I'm landing, but then right over the top, throws a huge left hook and just caught me right on the spot. Put me down, and then went right to the UFC. And there's been a handful of other guys that go to the UFC or other bigger shows, and it's like, man, I just missed my opportunity. Or I fought Ray Lopez, King of the Cage, sought Steve Marie, and was I Michigan, and leading up to that fight, I mean, my corner backed out the day of. I had a flat tire and all bad tires on my minivan, so I had to get all brand new tires on my way up there. I had to drive there, fight, and then drive back home just in time to make it to work. It was crazy how that went, and I lost that. And then he got to move on from that fight and go fight Andre Arlovsky in Hawaii. And they're all tough dudes too. These are not guys that you can uh, just lay back on. And I underestimate them or just things leading up, and I couldn't get much straight, and that's a big part.
Yeah, that's one thing I did notice about your record. Like and all of the fights that you fought a bunch of high level guys like Daniel Spawn. I don't know if when you fought him, I know it was back in the day, but I don't know if you fought him before he had his Ultimate Fighter run or after. But he was a super big problem, especially back then. He was like one of the biggest like regional names that I heard as a prospect coming into the UFC. So how
No problem. Yeah, today usually go work out at MTC and Daniel James, who's getting ready for a fight for ACB over in the UK. He's a big heavyweight, big dude to work with, but my body's telling me I needed a rest. Plus, it's super hot outside here today. It's what like heat index like 108. And it's Illinois. I live in Illinois. It's total heat. 108's bad, but not bad. It's bad here just due to how the humid it is. But yeah, today's my rest day. Yeah, so I'm a little off today too.
um what one of the questions I did want to ask though, you said that you had a fight lined up for Bellator in June and then it got canceled because of the COVID.
Yes, I believe it was Henderson Chandler rematch. It was supposed to be here in Chicago, so I could go. That'd be my third fight. Bellator contract. It's always been fight to fight. They were reaching out to me if I was wanting to come in. I didn't know if it was going to be heavyweight or light heavyweight because I fought both for them. I was actually hoping for that one wrestler that just signed with them, heavyweight. I forgot his name, but didn't get any names. And then all of a sudden, the Corona stuff hit, and they canceled the whole show. So,
Oh yeah, I was asking
didn't go
that
through.
because you mentioned that you retired from MMA, so I was just wondering if like it was you retired after that, or if it was a thing like, or if you were already retired and you were just tell it like Bellator knew that you would come out to fight.
No, uh, just before that, I mean, we were talking. I was going to do the fight, and then I'm sitting there in the front yard. We roll out the wrestling mats in April before I go back to work at the new plant down here, down in Clinton, Illinois, about 2.5 hours away. Well, rolling out, me and my boys are rolling on the mat, and something kind of like tweaked in my back, like a little stiff. And then the next day, it was just pain in the ass to get out of bed. And talking to my wife and my camp and everything, it's just best to, because the grappling is just a little too much for me on that lower back, to where I'm gonna have to retire from that. Um, but yeah, I mean, if a big opportunity came, I'd love to do it, but my body says I can't.
I think right now is would be the perfect time for you to step away because of how big. If you do have like since you do have an actual opportunity with BKFC, I think that would be the perfect time to switch over to it full time because they're actually gaining traction. It's something that you will definitely benefit your body more than mixed martial arts. And like you said, like you lean towards that's your style. Like striking is your style. So why deal with getting taken down all the time?
Yeah, my team and my wife, family, friends, they all agree everything that's going on. BKFC, that's where I'm going to go ahead and finish my career there. I hope it's a long career, couple of years. Fight contract, redeem myself from this, and then put a whole bunch of wins together. I'd like to get a title. And even there, I don't care if it's heavyweight or light heavyweight. Um, I wanna get the belt, and once I got my eyes set on something, I achieve it. Like, it may take little longer there on some things, just like getting the Bellator show in general, just because I have a little bit more to deal with training and everything. But once I have my mind set on something, I get there and I get it done. So